One day, while enjoying a delicious bowl of ramen noodles and daydreaming about personal electric vehicles, a beautiful idea was conceived. An idea that would take immense resources, tools, and skill to pull off. An electric skateboard made out of ramen noodles. This is Ramen Boarding on the Alien Rides channel. Subscribe and let's ride. We start our build with a trip to Home Depot to pick up some pieces of wood. I haven't been in a while, but the self-checkout is a nice touch. Afterwards, a quick board building boba supply is acquired, and we head back to do the build. We construct a frame to contain the epoxy resin out of plywood and a few planks of wood. We make a few cuts to build the frame and triangular pieces for the corners. We start by screwing the frame together, and afterwards cover the frame in wide sheathing tape to prevent resin from leaking out. By the way, in case you were wondering, you can totally use a miter table saw to slice through a packet of ramen noodles. This was actually the cleanest way we could find to cut through the noodles. We place as many packets of noodles as possible into the frame, trying to optimize for full squares of ramen. While utilizing some structural metal may have been a good idea, we are ramen purists and desire pure ramen noodles as our primary structural component. A tarp is strung up to catch any possible leakage from the mold. Once the ramen is placed in the mold, we mix the epoxy resin and hardener together. We ended up using 2 gallons of the mixture and pour it in layers. The epoxy is poured into the mold and we treat it with a heat gun to remove air bubbles. Even so, we still end up with a lot of air bubbles due to the air within the ramen noodles. A few days later, we checked on the finished product and released the deck from the mold. The top edge is quite sharp, so we try a few techniques to smooth it out. At first we try a router, feeding the sharp edge through to smooth it out. When that doesn't work, we use a sander to smooth it out by hand. Wet sanding is employed to further clean up the corners, but we don't spend a lot of time on this. After a quick test, I'm confident in this board. I employ the help of my friends to help build up the board electronics because I've never done it before. We start off trying to build an enclosure using polycarbonate plastic, but it either doesn't fold or it burns. We didn't have the right tools to use this material, so we opt for simple metal brackets instead. For the components, we use a 10S LiPo battery, Flockbox ESC, and 190 kV motors. Want to go more than 30 miles an hour on ramen? You could with this board. We drill through the ramen and attach trucks and the drivetrain. Once the board is done, we're good to test. It's time to reap the rewards of the build, which took 3 days. Continue watching to see this board fail spectacularly. Alright guys, maiden voyage of the ramen board. Let's ride. Oh shit! Well, I guess that's I guess that's it for ramen board. We'll see you all next time.